3 losses in a row. Not a great record. We'd suffered from bad prep, bad fortune, bad matchups. I needed Coach Shroom to get back on track, and for that, I needed some outside help. The Wild Card was the code name of one of my most trusted CIs. She was known for doing things in a less than conventional manner, but she got results. If I was going to be able to put together a plan for Shroom to win the next match, her experience would be vital. And right on time, she called me with an update.
Good news and bad news, Max. Looks like Slippery Pete had to go to ground. From the street chatter I'm hearing, there's a lot of pressure from the mob on him at the moment, so he may not be available for a while. But I found the snitch. Little shit was heading out in some crappy bar by the docks. Don't worry, I gave him a good talking to. And I took the liberty of giving him some instructions for the upcoming battle. They're a little out there, but hey, you know me. Nothing but the best.
Alright. Thanks. I appreciate your help as always, Wild Card.
But that wasn't the only phone call that day.
Mr. Stryker, good morning.
Mr. Mayor, good morning.
How is our chosen participant doing?
Well, playoffs for this championship are still a possibility, but he's gotten some nasty games coming up. Joey Know-How, the Gentleman, and the Costa Rican especially are making significant moves through the city, and the Don seems to have kicked his mafia guys into gear at last. Perhaps we should discuss our worst-case scenario?
Not losing faith in our coach, are we, Detective Inspector?
Not at all, sir, but we do have to put contingencies in place if things don't go well. If you don't win this, people will come for you. I know you're a good battler.
X.
Sir?
Ex-battler. Those days are behind me now.
Indeed, sir. So, if one of the other coaches wins this thing, you'll be their #1 target. I know you don't want to go down without a fight, but...
Very well, Mr. Stryker. What do we have in place then? Take me through it.
We have a safe house prepped in case Coach Shroom doesn't end up victorious. I've sent the schematics over to you. It's on the outskirts of the city, comes fully equipped with a training facility and all the conveniences of your office. If we need to, we can hole up there before moving you on to a secure location another time.
Don't like the idea of leaving the city, Detective Inspector. I helped build this place, and I don't intend on giving up my position easily.
I understand that, sir. It wouldn't be permanent. Just until we could regroup and plan a counteroffensive.
Well, in that case, I suggest you see to it that Coach Shroom doesn't lose. I don't want to have to take matters in my own hands. That's what I'm paying you for.
Understood, sir. He'll be taking on Chase imminently. We'll do whatever is necessary to get another victory.
Chase. Now there's a name I had not heard in a while. I beat it once, you know, way back. But after that, it was lost. It's time to right the wrongs of the past.
Well, it'll be Coach Shroom's first time battling him. But rest assured, we'll do everything in our power to make sure he comes out on top.
See that you do, Detective Inspector.
See that you do.
Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome to the Pokémon Premier League Week 6. Yes indeed. Now, we're on a 3-game losing streak, which is really not good. I've got Detective Striker breathing down my neck on this. So we really need a win here to keep our playoff dreams alive. It's not going to be easy, but this is a game I've been looking forward to for longer than just this one season, because finally, after quite a long time, we are getting to play against Chase, aka CBAD, and the Detroit Steel Wings. A very good friend of mine, someone I've long admired and looked up to, and we get to finally go up against him. I know that Detective Striker doesn't trust him, I do, but we'll have to wait and see what this battle brings us. Chase has made some changes to his team. The things he can choose from, as you can see on screen, are Sneasler, Rillaboom, Ogerpon, Hearthflame, Hisuian Goodra, Hisuian Zoroark, Kleavor, Incineroar, Rhyperior, Lantern, and Frostmoth. That Rhyperior has been used very effectively by Chase in its Terra form, going Fairy or Water. The Frostmoth is new. That can go Water or Ground as a Terra Captain. And he's kind of raided Hisui for some of his new mons. Not going to be an easy one. He's got a lot of very powerful physical threats. And normally on screen right now, you would see Greninja, but as you may have heard, Greninja has kind of gone to ground. We don't have access to him this week. But we are going to give a debut to Snake Eyes Joe. Sandaconda is here, heavy duty boot set, full Fizz Death, with Glare, High Horsepower, Skitter Smack, and Rest. We've got Rest and the Shed Skin combo to try and keep us healthy. This is our best answer to that Sneasler. We can tank loads of hits from it, High Horsepower over Earthquake because of the potential grassy terrain. And basically I want Sandaconda to pass Glares around and get High Horsepower damage off. Skitter Smack is useful for lowering special attack on the likes of the Frostmoth, maybe even the Hisuian Zoroark if either one of those want to set up. Next up we have Jimmy the Face, Ogerpon, Cornerstone here. This is a fairly standard max attack, max speed Jolly set to speed tie with Chase's own Ogerpon. Ivy Cudgel, Low Kick, Spikes, and Taunt on there. Ivy Cudgel goes pretty hard into his team. The stuff that resists it don't often want to take a low kick. The Sneasler is the only thing really that resists both of those, and it's not got the greatest of physical defense stats. Spikes, we really want to get hazards up against Chase's only form of hazard removal that I can see is the Kleavor, and they don't often run Defog when they want to run Stone Axe. So yeah, Ogerpon here to try and chip things down. I'm anticipating at least one Chocolate Berry going on somewhere, probably on that Hisuian Goodra if it shows up. Maybe even the Rhyperior pre-Terra. So looking to bust some berries, get some chip damage, get some spikes up if we can. And it's quite a fast taunter, which is nice for the likes of Iron Press Hisuian Goodra, maybe even Swords Dance Kleavor, and stuff like that. Then we have, ideally, a late game sweeper here. We have Weakness Policy Dragon Dance Mew with Psychic Fangs, Drain Punch, and Taunt. Now, this is going to be putting a lot of pressure on Chase in the mid to late game, I would hope. Good coverage across his team with Psychic into Fighting. I was considering a clear Amulet set here for that potential Incineroar with Parting Shot, but Incineroar is never going to be OHKOing, really, unless it's like a dedicated sort of like banded set. So we can hopefully get some Dragon Dances up, prop that Weakness Policy, especially with support from something that you'll see a bit later on down the line. Taunt there to stop that Incineroar from going for Willow once it sees that we're physical, stop it from Parting Shotting, stopping again things from setting up nasty defensive setup sets. Then in order to enable Mew, we have our breaker of choice, and that is going to be Choice Banded Haxorus. I've tried to run set up Haxorus a lot with varying degrees of success, so we're just running 160 speed Jolly to outpace the Kleavor and the Rillaboom at max speed. We have Outrage, Close Combat, Ironhead, and First Impression. This is going to be really useful for just breaking things. We have Unnerve on there for the potential, as I said, Choppleberry, Hisuian Goodra onto that Close Combat. Stuff like maybe a Babiri Berry Frostmoth or Rhyperior. I did consider going Mold Breaker to get around Rhyperior's Solid Rock, but realistically, the damage difference wasn't all that great. And we kind of just want Haxorus to break things early to mid-game to make way for the likes of Mew and maybe even Ogerpon. Next up, we have, scrolling down my list, a red card Grimmsnarl. This is an Adamant near max attack, max special defense set with Reflect, Parting Shot, Sucker Punch, and Spirit Break. Chase's team is very physically biased in terms of offense, so Reflect is going to be super useful here. His only dark type is the Incineroar, which we can get out and go into a switch for if it's going to try and block our parting shot. Dual Stab again goes quite hard into Chase's team. Sucker Punch is going to be very useful for the likes of Weakened Sneasler, that's Hisuian Zoroark, the Cleavor, stuff like that. And Spirit Break, nice to get special attack drops where he does have special offense. Red card on there so that if an Iron Press Hisuian Goodra gets out of hand, or maybe a Swords Dance Sneasler, we can go for a Reflect, tank a hit, and force them out with that red card and try and deal with them later on. Final member of the team, as you may have heard, is finally the return of Orthworm. We have a mixed defensive Eli the Snitch here, Rocky Helmet, max HP nearly, 124 each into defense and special defense. We're running Impish, 12 into speed, Iron Head, Body Press, Shed Tail, and Spikes. This is our second Spiker. I really do want to try and maintain hazards on his side of the field. I'm sure he's going to try and do the same to me. But yeah, this is mainly here to check stuff like the Rillaboom, the Cleavor, and the Rhyperior. Get chip damage onto all of them with the Rocky Helmet, and see if we can't pass a Shed Tail. I have those 12 EVs in speed just to try and outdo the Rhyperior. Normally Orthworm wants to Shed Tail after the fact, but against Rhyperior, we're probably going to be Shed Tailing into Mew if we can, so we want to get in there first before Body Press or maybe some other kind of coverage move that Mew should be able to tank behind a Shed Tail sub. So that is the team that I'm going to be rocking out with. Let's hop over to the battle and see what Chase decided to bring against me. So, as you'll see, Chase has decided to bring Hisuian Goodra, Rhyperior, Hisuian Zoroark, Cleavor, Frostmoth, and Sneasler. So, no Rillaboom, no Ogerpon Hearthflame, and no Lantern, which I was quite happy not to see. It could be a defensive issue for me. However, I see Cleavor. I'm imagining that's going to be his lead so that he can Stone Axe as quick as poss. That in mind, I'm going to lead with my Ogerpon Cornerstone, anticipating either a Scarf set or a Sash set. So that's my leads. Let's see what happens. So, here we go. PPL Week 6 in this crucial matchup against Chase, CBAD, and the Detroit Steel Wings. He is going to lead off with his newly acquired Cleavor, as anticipated. We're going to go with Ogerpon. Now, he cannot both outspeed and one-shot us, even if we get rid of our Sturdy. So I'm, again, anticipating Scarf or Sash, just going to stay in, Terra up turn 1, and just click Ivy Cudgel and start hitting things. And here it is. Fresh off Terroring for the first time last week, we're not going to waste any time this time around. Ogerpon is going to immediately Terrastallize, get that big old Rocky Mask, get the Embody Aspect, get the +1 defense, and we're sitting kind of pretty here. And as you see, we are actually going to outspeed, so I'm thinking he's got to be Focus Sash. There's no reason why he wouldn't be. We're going to go for the Ivy Cudgel, and it is indeed Focus Sash Cleavor. So I'm anticipating him to just want to get up his Stone Axe as soon as poss. As it turns out, he's actually going to go for Trailblaze. Very nice play on his part, because it gets him that extra damage on my Ogerpon, and he can then go for a subsequent Stone Axe. Now I'm taking the gamble that that's what he's going to want to do, and that he might not even be packing Close Combat. Close Combat might well take us out from here, but I'm pretty sure he's going to want to get those rocks up. So I'm going to stay in and just try and claim my kill with Ivy Cudgel. And Chase is indeed going to go for that Stone Axe. That's going to take us down very far. Those rocks are up. They're there to stay, of course. I don't have any removal on this squad, but we are going to be able to go for a subsequent Ivy Cudgel, and that is obviously going to take out the Cleavor from there. We do get a huge crit. Crit mattered, obviously it mattered. No. Down goes Cleavor, and we're able to take an early 6-5 lead against Chase. Now, he is going to waste very little time in going into his Sneasler. Now, I actually do live another iteration of rocks, so I'm going to save my Ogerpon as a sack later on, or maybe even to get it in and cause some damage. Plus, I have a very safe answer to Sneasler in the form of my Sandaconda, so I'm just going to go hard into that and see how well it can take this guy on. So, gonna recall Jimmy the Face, back he goes to be used or sacked later on, and I'm gonna go into the debutante Sandaconda. Gonna take no rocks damage because of my heavy duty boots, and the Brick Break we take very well indeed. So Sandaconda in here looking quite good. Now, I was tempted to go for high horsepower, but my plan with Sandaconda is to try and pass around Paras, so I'm gonna go for Glare and see if we can't catch something coming in. He's gonna switch out of there. He doesn't want to take any kind of high horsepower hit. And he is going to go here into his Hisuian Goodra, which as you'll see,
He's on an air balloon. Really nice on his part, predicting my Earthquake or my high horsepower, but we have gone for Glare, and that's going to be really nice. I don't want to stay in against this guy, though. So back goes Sandaconda, having done a nice early job so far, and I am going to go back into my Ogerpon. Now, as you'll see, as I said, it does live the rock switch in. Get the embody aspect, that's not going to matter, as the Hisuian Gudra is going to go for Shadow Ball, which is a move it can't learn. So, we have worked out that this is in fact the Hisuian Zoroark in disguise. Brilliant tech on Chase's part, giving it an air balloon and disguising it as the Gudra, because it would force me to go for a fighting type move which he'd be immune to and he could possibly try and set up. But that means that the Glare that Sandaconda dropped on it is actually going to come in really clutch, because we've nullified, to some extent, a very powerful, special and quick threat. So, I'm going to make the play into my Grimmsnarl here. I know that it's the Zoroark, and even if it has Sludge Bomb, it won't be taking us out. So I'm going to go for Spirit Break, try and nab a KO, and if I don't, I can get a special attack drop, which will really help me later on down the line. Now, he is actually going to outspeed me, and get paralyzed. That's unfortunate. He was going for Sludge Bomb. It wouldn't have killed, but it would have propped my red card and forced him out. We're going to go for the Spirit Break. It's not going to kill, as we see Shock Horror, the Zoroark revealed. But we have taken him down to a very, very low range of health, and I don't see that he's going to be saving this. So I'm very free to go for Sucker Punch and just pick this guy off. So Sucker Punch coming in, that is going to pick off the Hisuian Zoroark. Really cool tech on Chase's part. I really enjoyed that, disguising it as an air balloon Gudra to bait the fighting move and try and maybe set up. Really cool tech. Unfortunate for him that we were able to get around that. But with one threat down, another one comes in. It's going to be the Sneasler, but I have a switch into this in the form of Sandaconda. More importantly, I can Parting Shot into him and take the hits from this guy even better. So, Parting Shot is going to be the play. We are going to get this Sneasler down to -1 attack, and that's going to really help Sandaconda tank his hits even better than before. And as we saw already, it's taken that Brick Break very well indeed. So, Snake Eyes Joe is going to come back and hit the field for the second time, looking to tank these hits. Diaclaw is going to come in and do very little damage. Chase is going to get the para from Diaclaw. He's been getting very unlucky with Diaclaw added effects this season, so it's about time that he got something. But a Paralysis is one of the better ones we could have got, to be honest. We're not being worn down, we're not asleep, which is fine. I consider going for Glare here, but honestly, I'm just going to go for high horsepower. It's not looking like he has any kind of immunities to it anymore, so high horsepower is going to be the play, and we'll see if we can do some damage to a member of his team. Now, Chase needs a bit of good fortune here. He's going to go for Swords Dance to try and get something going with this Sneasler, but we are going to break through the Paralysis, go for high horsepower, and that is going to clean take out the Sneasler from there. So, Sandaconda and Grimmsnarl putting in a really good showing as a duo, enabling each other to take out Chase's two big, fast threats. But now in comes the real Hisuian Gudra. Now, Sandaconda has done its job here. It took on successfully the Sneasler. It's not here to take on the Rhyperior, and it won't take on the Frostmoth, or realistically, this Hisuian Gudra. So what I'm going to do is just stay in and try and get some damage with high horsepower to put this Hisuian Gudra in range to be revenged. Now either way, I'm going to be outsped. Ice Beam coming in from the Hisuian Gudra will do for Sandaconda, but Sandaconda has put in a good shift here. It's done its job, it's nullified the threat of Sneasler, and now we can go into something to try and take on this Hisuian Gudra, and that is going to be my Choice Banded Haxorus. So, Lucky O'Brien going to hit the field for the first time. The Unnerve is there, so a Chopper Berry will not be saving this Gudra from massive damage from close combat. I'm going to lock in on it. He has this, the Rhyperior and the Frostmoth left, and honestly, none of them want to take this hit. Now Chase is going to stay in, and that close combat is just going to clean take out the Gudra. A big Oko from full. Choice Banded Haxorus stamping his name on this game with a big old CC. Getting himself a KO, and looking to go in against the last two members of Chase's team. Now Chase is going to go into Rhyperior here. He has to, he couldn't go into Frostmoth because of the massive amount of pressure that Haxorus puts upon it, it wouldn't have been able to set up because I'd have just gone for close combat and wrecked its life. And if I hadn't killed, I could have then taken it out, gone into something to sack, and then revenged a setup Frostmoth with First Impression. With Rhyperia on the field, however, I can go into my final defensive piece, built to try and take this thing on better, and that is going to be the returning Eli the Snitch, that is Orthworm. So Orthworm's going to come in here, Alex Lewis is going to go for Avalanche. That's going to do not very much, and we're going to get some Rocky Helmet chip. But this is the point where I'm going to go for Shedtail. It is time, because whilst I originally wanted Haxorus to break for Mew, with the stuff that Chase has left, it's looking like it's going to have to be the other way around. So what I'm going to do is Shedtail into Mew, try and break down this Rhyperia for Ironhead Haxorus to go in the late game. So those extra 12 EVs in speed are going to allow us to fully outspeed this Rhyperia and go for a Shedtail with Orthworm. That's going to be really nice. We're going to be able to get a very, very free switch into Mew, and we can start Dragon Dancing up. Now what this, I'm hoping, is going to do is force Chase into using his Terror on Rhyperia instead of Frostmoth. So, Mew is going to hit the field for the first time this game. We're going to get ourselves behind that Shedtail sub as in comes Fire Blast. Really nice tech on Chase's part to tech that on for the Orthworm. I was anticipating Body Crest, but either way, it's not going to break a sub, and now I can start Dragon Dancing. So, Dragon Dance going to come in here. This isn't going to allow us to Oko or Rhyperia, nowhere near, but all I want on it from Mew is big old chip damage. That is what we're looking for here. So we're up +1 with Dragon Dance. Rhyperia is going to go for the Earthquake. Now that, of course, is going to break the sub, but he's not choice banded. It doesn't look like he's a boosting item. We should be able to take any one hit unless his last move is Mega Horn. And I'm just going to go for a Drain Punch here to test the waters on how defensive this thing is. So I'm going to click Drain Punch, but Chase is going to Terrastallize his Rhyperia. And this is really actually quite good for me. I'll go into why in a little bit. He's Terra Fairy. That is going to really nullify the damage that Drain Punch can do to me. And he's going to be able to probably two-shot us with Earthquake. But as you see, Drain Punch comes in and does not much. But the fact he's Terra Rhyperia means he can't Terra Frostmoth. That was my big worry, a Terra Water Frostmoth. And as you'll see, that Earthquake is going to easily two-shot Mew from there. But he's now Terra Fairy on this. I can go for Psychic Fangs and chip him down even further. And basically pave the way for Ironhead Haxorus, as I mentioned before, to try and sweep. So, Psychic Fan's going to come in and do a really nice chunk of damage to Rhyperia. Rhyperia is going to go for Earthquake. That is going to take out my Mew, as we said, but a low health Terra Fairy Rhyperia and an unable to Terra Frostmoth means that Haxorus is looking mighty good. And so, Haxorus hits the field once more. As I said, Ironhead is looking really good right now in the end game, and Unnerve means even if either of these are Babiri Berry, it's not going to matter. So I'm going to lock in on Ironhead and hope that we can just see this game out. So Ironhead's going to come in, and that is indeed going to take out that very dangerous, very well used Terra Rhyperia. Down it goes, and now all that Chase has left is the Frostmoth. Now I'm anticipating him to be set up. He can't Terra, so Ironhead will just Oko him. The only way he gets out of this is if he's Scarfed, and if he's Scarfed, he won't be able to take out my last two mons. So, here comes that Frostmoth. Nice and shiny, it is going to hit the field. But as I say, unless he's Scarfed, this is pretty much looking like good game. He could be Sashed, that's always an option. You're going to have to hope he isn't. Here comes the Ironhead, and he's not Sashed. He's not Scarfed. The Frostmoth is going to go down. Haxorus claims a third kill, and that is going to be the game. So, great game to my man Chase, CBAD, and the Detroit Steelwings. His links down in the description below. Make sure you check them out. If you're following me and you're not following Chase, what are you doing with your life? The man is one of the OGs. He's a legend of the scene. He's been around. He's been doing this a long time, and he's just one of the nicest guys you could hope to meet, watch, interact with, any of that. Just a top dude. He's not just doing Draft League stuff, he's doing streams, he's taking part in VGC regionals, he's doing it all. And I implore of you to go to his channel, check out his side of this battle, all his other wonderful content, you will not be disappointed. And he had some really good tech here too. I really enjoyed the the disguise. You know, it might seem like a waste to put an air balloon on a Hisuian Zorok, but the way he was trying to use it, disguising it as Hisuian Gudra to bait the close combat or the drain punch and allow him to set up, really cool tech on his part. Same with Fire Blast on Rhyperior. You know, he had some really cool ideas. Thankfully, we had the muscle and the unique bulk to be able to get past it. I liked how Sandaconda interacted with Grimmsnarl to enable each other for KOs on the fast threats. Things went to plan, and it's been a little while since that has happened. So that puts us at 3-3 with a +2 differential. That is still a fairly healthy position to be in. You know, playoffs are not out of reach. We could still make it. But things are not going to be easy, because next week we step into the darkness. We step into the shadows. As we take on another old friend, Necrostevo and the Victorian Shadows awaits us in week 7. Please, I hope you looked forward to that one. It should be an absolute doozy. But, as I say, I'm going to sort of end things off here. Remember, links to everyone as well as my opponent today, Chase, CBAD, down in the description below. Make sure you check them all out, especially Chase, my opponent, for the day. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on for far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.